Hey guys, it has been a hot little minute since I have posted a video, so I am sorry for that. We had a little surprise last Friday. David tested positive for COVID, so we have been trying to recover. You can tell I'm a little still congested, but doing much better today. But I wanted to get this video out, or at least posted before October ends, because October is Miscarriage and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And sorry, I've already cried once before I even turned the camera on. So this is not going to be an easy video for me to post and to talk about. But I think it's really important, and I've found a lot of healing and just a lot of growth comes out of sharing sometimes your pain and hard situations. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I post about the miscarriages we had prior to having River, but I've actually never shared the story, kind of the details behind it. So my point in doing this is I found that when I did start sharing last year about it, there were a lot of women who came out and were really, really grateful for it, because it's just one of those things that's not as talked about, and it's I think it's getting better. People are talking about it more and sharing their stories, but it's still something, it's hard to share, honestly. And I'll go into that in a little more detail later. But anyways, so I'll start with when we found out we were pregnant the first time. So we found out January 16th of 2019 that we were pregnant. We had been trying for maybe like 6 months, where I would say 6 months of actually tracking my ovulation and trying. So when we found out that morning, I think I was like a couple of days late, and I don't know, I had a feeling, I guess, and I woke up that morning at like 5 in the morning and took a pregnancy test, and it was just very positive, and I ran and screamed and told David, and it was just, we were like over the moon excited, but also kind of like, oh my gosh, this is real now, and kind of scared at the same time. So called the doctor that day, and they said, okay, great, like we'll have you come in a few weeks. Based on your last period, you should be around 7 or 8 weeks, just depending on your ovulation. So we did that. We didn't tell anybody until that appointment, but anyways, a couple weeks later, we go to our first appointment, our ultrasound, and we got to see the heartbeat. We couldn't hear it yet, and they measured it, and the little sac was, the fetus was measuring about, they said around 6 weeks, which was a little less than what they were expecting based on my period, but the doctor just reassured me that, I probably ovulated later than I thought. So we really didn't think much into it. I guess I was a little nervous because I thought that I should have been further along, just because of when I found out. But the doctor just reassured me and kept telling me, this happens all the time. People just ovulate, at different times, like than they normally do, and it can throw it off a little bit. So after that appointment, we told my mom and David's parents and sister. And then I think in like a couple of weeks, in like those next couple of weeks, we told I want to say 2 or 3 friends, like hardly anybody, because we had to have another ultrasound since we were measuring smaller. They wanted us to come in 2 weeks. So 2 or 3 weeks later, I can't even remember I think it was 2 weeks, we went in, and I had started feeling a little bit sick, like I was having some nausea and just like really tired. So, I thought like things were going well, but anyways, we went in for the ultrasound, and I'll never forget to this day, her name was Beth, the ultrasound tech, and she looked at me and she just said, I'm so sorry, but there's no heartbeat. And I remember looking at David and like just feeling like it was a horrible dream. Like it just did not feel real, especially because it was our our first, you just don't at all expect that to happen. Sorry, was not expecting to cry. But it was interesting because right after she told us, I felt like this enormous sense of guilt all of a sudden. Like, I don't even know where it came from. But after they took us out of the ultrasound room, they put us in a exam room to wait on the doctor to talk. I just started saying to David, like, what did I do wrong? Like, did I not take my vitamins? Did I do something? Like, did I eat something? Like, I was just immediately putting the blame on myself. And the ultrasound tech actually came back in the room, and I swear she was an angel. To this day, I'll never forget her. But she looked at me and she said, there's nothing you did and there's nothing you could have done differently to prevent this from happening. And she just kind of like held me and she prayed with us for a second, and then she left and the doctor came in. We decided to go forward with a D&C, which is a procedure just to go through and clean everything up. And so that was on a Friday that we had the appointment, and so it was scheduled for that Monday. The interesting thing is, I hadn't had any bleeding or anything to make me think that I was miscarrying. But the Saturday after the appointment, so our appointment was Friday, we had, and then that Saturday I started bleeding. And, I remember looking back and actually being thankful that we had that appointment, because if I had started bleeding and not knowing what it was, I would have been completely panicked and probably gone to the emergency room and whatnot. But I guess I knew what it was, which is almost like, I don't know, it's better and then it's worse, because you know that you're losing your baby and like, what that blood is. So that happened on Saturday. We had the D&C on Monday, and then, it was just honestly the worst day. Like, it really truly was the worst day. My mom and David went with me, and I just cried. Like, after the procedure, I just cried and cried and cried and cried, just like pretty much nonstop. I just felt like completely vulnerable. I felt like less of a woman, like something had been taken from me. I felt like my body had failed me, and I don't know why. Like, it's just, I think it's one of those things, like women, you feel like you're meant to have babies, and then when your body, isn't able to, or, loses a baby, it's like we're so quick to be so hard on our bodies. But anyways, we started the healing process. As far as physically, there's a time period where you can't try again physically. I guess what I wasn't prepared for was the emotional healing that I had to go through as well. And the doctor told me that just really whenever you're ready emotionally is the right time. I wasn't prepared for it to take as long as it did, because I think I was just so scared to try again, and then it happened again. So we eventually did start trying again. And though, those months, following that it was hard, because we had friends that had announced they were pregnant, but I knew, like, I just had this feeling that we were going to get pregnant again and it was going to be okay. And I truly, like, I'm a strong believer, and I knew that the Lord was with us and that He was going to bring something good out of it. I knew it. It was just, it's still so hard when you're going through that pain and you want it so bad, like you want a baby so bad, and you're not able to have one right then. So it's hard to keep believing and trusting. So fast forward 6 months. Let's see, that was in February that we had the D&C. Then fast forward to September. So what is that? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, 7 months. I had a positive pregnancy test again. And it was kind of the same situation. I was a couple of days late, and I woke up at like 4:30 actually it was 4:30 because I was going to my 5 o'clock or my 5:30 workout class, and I woke up and took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. It wasn't as strong as the original one, but it was, a faint line, and they tell you like a positive is a positive. So I ran in there and told David, woke him up. He was like, what, he was super groggy. It was 4:30 in the morning. But we were just like over the moon. And at that point I had told one friend, her name's Allie, and she was in my workout class, and I told her because I wasn't going to be in class, and I was just like, she had been praying over me for like the past 6 months, just every morning, 6 a.m. she would pray for me, and she is such a prayer warrior. So I told her, and she was just like over the moon. Well, the next day I woke up and I took another test, and it was almost more faint than the day before. And so I just like, I don't know, I just had this like terrible feeling that something else was going to go wrong. I already had the fear to begin with. And then when the line didn't get stronger from the day before, I was like, David, this is going to be another miscarriage. I know it. I can feel it. And he was like, Carly, like, you're just scared, you're worried because of what happened before, but like, this is a huge blessing. We're pregnant again. Like, he was just trying so hard, but I just like could not move past it. Like, I just had this horrible feeling that something was going to go wrong again. And so a couple of days later, I tested again, and it was even more faint. So I called the doctor, and they were like, you know what, just come in for some blood work to test your HCGs, and we'll see what's going on. So the test, how it works is, I think if it's greater than 5, your HCG level, if it's greater than 5, and that means you're pregnant. And if it's less than 5, I believe that's what it was, that means that you're not pregnant. So I got it back, and I think it was like a 14, which is still super, super low. Like, normally it's in the hundreds or thousands at this point. So I still had a bad feeling, but the nurse was like, that's still positive. Like, we're going to have you come in 2 days and retest. And if it's lowered, then we'll know that you are miscarrying. So it came back in 2 days, and it came back at a 9. So that's when the doctor told me that we were miscarrying again. And when I tell you that, like, I felt so hopeless, like, I was so angry because I felt so angry at God that he would even, I wanted to scream, because I just felt like, why even let me get pregnant again? Like, I would have rather to not have been pregnant than to have it like teased again. That's how I felt. I was just so devastated. And I was texting with my friend Allie, and she was just the most encouraging friend, one of the most encouraging friends that I have. And she sent me this song called Though You Slay Me. It's by Shane and Shane, and it has an excerpt from John Piper, who's a pastor. And I remember I was in my living room, and I was listening to the song, and the excerpt of the John Piper sermon came on, and I fell to my knees. And I just remember feeling like, I'm going to praise him. Like, I'm going to praise him in this pain, because I don't know what else to do. I didn't really have any other emotions. Like, it was just such raw emotions. And I just decided in that moment that I was going to still worship him, because he deserves it. And that any momentary affliction we have here on earth is just, in comparison to the glory of heaven, it's just nothing. But it's not meaningless. And that's in that song. I'm going to post that song because I think it could help a lot of people. But, and I wrote down these lyrics from the song. It says, though you slay me, yet I will praise you. Though you take from me, I will bless your name. Though you ruin me, still I worship. And when I say the months following that second miscarriage, I think were probably the most all like life altering as far as my Christian life. I just decided that, you know, he was making some changes in me, and I chose to still praise him. And it wasn't easy. Like every day I woke up, you know, still just devastated and still, you know, at times angry. But hold on one second. Sorry, River woke up from his nap, but David got him. So after the second miscarriage, I really felt like I was supposed to do something, share my story somehow. I wasn't really sure. I think I didn't share, and this is me being extremely vulnerable and honest. I think I didn't share the first time. I'm gonna be totally honest. It's like I didn't want people to know that like my life wasn't perfect, which is ridiculous because nobody's life is perfect. But it was just like I was embarrassed, and like looking back, I just cannot believe that I was embarrassed over that. But I was. It's like I didn't want to be vulnerable and admit that we had like this horrible thing happen to us. And so after the second miscarriage, I decided that I did want to share it. I wasn't sure how, and eventually I decided that I was going to just write. And that's normally what I do when I'm not sure how to get my feelings out or even talk about things. I just write, and I did. I wrote our whole story out, and this was October. It was mid-October, and I posted it on Instagram, and I got a whole bunch of really positive feedback, especially just in other women that had experienced the same thing. And that was just really, it was encouraging for me to know that I wasn't alone. And it was also really, it made me feel good that I was able to help other people too who were going through similar things. So, and this is where the story gets really, really cool. So I posted that, I wish I would have looked the dates up, but it was mid-October. And then we found out we were pregnant November 14th, the next month. So it ended up being like, I went back and did the math of when it was. And when I posted that blog, we got pregnant like literally a couple days after. And, you know, I think I used to just believe in like coincidences, but like, I just knew there was no way that was a coincidence. Like that was the Lord. I had trusted him with our story and believed that it was going to change and help other people. And I really think he was faithful, and he knew my heart, and he knew how badly we wanted a baby, and that, that I would forever, ever, and ever, and ever, I would never forget how he brought us through. And it was honestly like writing our story was so tough because we weren't pregnant then. Like it wasn't that I was looking back on a hard time after we'd gotten out of it and, you know, written all the stuff. It was like we still weren't pregnant and I was still in pain, but I was writing it because I believed that he was going to bring something good out of it. And I guess like in the moment, I didn't know if we were going to get pregnant, you know, like you can't know. So, I just like looking back, it is honestly so incredible to see, like it was days after I posted the blog. So anyways, we found out November 14th that we were pregnant with River, and then 9 months later he's here. And he is just truly a joy bomb. He's a handful. He's not the easiest baby in the whole world, but he is the best thing that could have ever happened to us. And there have been times like early on when he was really, really fussy, and you know, David and I were tired and exhausted and frustrated, and we would look at each other and just be like, he's our blessing. Like this is our blessing that we asked, that we prayed for, and that so many people prayed for. So it's just really cool because I think we can, you know, River can grow up knowing that he has 2 other siblings in heaven that we're going to be able to meet and be reunited with one day. And that just like gives me so much hope. And it also, I think, gives so much purpose to River's life, and knowing that he is here for a reason, as is every single baby and every child. But yeah, so this was not an easy video to do, but I've been wanting to do it for a long time, and I hope that it does help at least one of you. And I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. If you're going through a miscarriage, if you have gone through a miscarriage or infant loss, or honestly anything, just feel free to reach out to me, because I really, like, after going through all of this, it is kind of wild, like, how many women have come out and, like, said to me, you know, we're going through the same thing, or we're going through infertility issues. And, you know, and it makes me feel it in a whole different way, because I've gone through that loss. We haven't gone through the infertility necessarily, but just, you know, longing for that, you know, waiting, but still trying so hard to trust. I mean, it's tough. So anyways, I know this was very long-winded, but I didn't want to shorten it and forget anything. But I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this, please just like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'm hoping once we get feeling better, I'll get some more videos on here for you guys. Thanks.